Hello guys, we are from Group 1. We will explain about genre, grammar, text, and context. Alright, before we go to the material, I will introduce the member first. The first one is Muhammad Musa, the second is Rachellina Putri, the third is Sarifah Achmad, and the fourth Deffina Maulita. Alright, the first one is what is genre? So, stated by Martin and Rose, genres are social because we participate in genres with other people, goal-oriented because we use genre to get things done, stage because it usually takes us a few steps to reach our goals. And a genre can be defined as a culturally specific text type that results from using language, by written or spoken, to help accomplish something. So actually genres are culture specific and have associated with particular purposes, particular stages, that is a distinctive beginnings, middles, and ends. And the last is particular linguistic features. Well, actually, genre is a term used to classify types of spoken or written discourse. These are normally classified by content, language, purpose, and form. So, genre analysis is the study of how language is used within a particular context. Genre has a different goal and they are structured differently to achieve these goals.
Okay, next we have text. Language as a system of communication, of meaning, and organized as cohesive unit, we call as text. So, what is actually text itself? Okay, according to Halliday, text is characterized as language functional in context. So, the text and context have the correlation input of meaning. When people speak or write, they produce text, even though something like just hi, it is called as a text. And text is what the listener and reader engage with and interpret. Okay. After this, we will learn about literary text, factual text, and also media text. Yes, this is first we have literary texts. Literary texts are texts that are narrative or tell a story and contain element of fiction. Remember, contain element of fiction. Some good example of a literary text include the novel, short story, and poetry. Well, actually, literary text, something like the literature, something like this. And the second, we have factual text. Okay, factual text inform the reader about a particular subject. They should give useful information and focus on fact. Focus on fact. Okay, example of factual text are news report, interview, recipes, record of histories, instruction, fact, and etc. Okay, and the last we have media text. And remember, when we refer to a media text, we mean any text that could be studied in media. This include a film, website, photography, newspaper article, podcast, and many other. That's it.
Now we talk about grammar. What is grammar? Grammar is a theory of language, of how language is put together and how it works. More particularly, it is the study of wordings. What is wordings? Wordings are characterized such that they are able to explain the meaning. So, why do we need to know about the grammar? Because it will help us to understand how the text works. As the teacher, we need to know how the text works, so we can explicitly help the learners learn how to understand and produce the text spoken and written in various contexts for various purposes. There are three grammar which have had a major influence on schools in the Western world in this century. There are traditional grammar, functional grammar, and formal grammar. First is traditional grammars. Traditional grammars aims to describe the grammar of standard English by comparing it with Latin. Emphasize the role of smaller units of text like letters, words, sentence, and paragraphs. In here, teaching strategies include explicit grammar exercise. Traditional grammar focus on written language. Second is functional grammar, developed by Halliday, and this grammar helps people to understand how language works in particular social functions, context of culture, and context of situation. And functional grammar focus on text as a whole, analyzing like file, it is what is going on in the text. Second is tenor, roles, relationship, and communication of the participant. And last is mode, it is channel of communication. And last is formal grammar. Formal grammar is a system for defining the syntax of a language by specifying sequence of symbols or sentences that are considered grammatical. Grammatical sentence of a language may be very large or infinite. Therefore, they are usually derived by a recursive definition.
Alright, and then the next one we will talk about context and text relation. The first that we have to know is that there are two types of context. The first one is the context of culture, and the second one is the context of situation. We will go and talk about this context in the next slide. The first one, we have to talk about the context of culture. It is defined as the determiner of what we can mean, and we can use the language given the certain rules or custom of a community. So yeah, it deals with the community, or it deals with the culture of the community. We can perceive this context of culture and that we can construct the proper language use by seeing from three perspectives. There are being what we are, and then doing what we do, and then seeing what we say. And after these three, we can construct a proper use of language itself. And in the second one, we have context of situation. Context of situation defined as the given settings as background of the statement, event, or idea. Context of situation can be specified through the use of the register variables in systemic functional linguistics. The first one is the field, and the second is tenor, and the third is mode. Field refers to what is going on or what is the topic of the discussion or the conversation. Field is the topic of the matter. For example, when we are in the class of systemic functional grammar, then the field is the functional grammar itself, or the topic that being discussed in the class. And the second one is tenor. Tenor refers to the social relationship between those taking part in the conversation or in the discussion, the speaker and the listener, and the social relationship between them. For example, in the systemic functional linguistics class, then we have the professor and we have the students. That's what called as the social relationship, where the student should use the proper language, or what we know as the formal language, when we are speaking to the professor of the class. And the third is the mode, or how the language is being communicated. Either we communicate that orally or written. For example, given the context of the systemic functional class, then how we discuss in that class. Should we communicate by orally when we talk to this professor, or when we communicate to the friends by using paper or by the written context? But what is actually the relationship between the context and text? By understanding the context, we can reconstruct the text or reconstruct the language properly. For example, when we hear or read a text, we can reconstruct its context of situation. Instead, when we're able to reconstruct this context of situation, because there is a systemic relationship between context and text. So context and text has a real and has a really strict relation which define each other and which determine each other.
Alright, that's the explanations about genre, grammar, text, and context. So, if there is mistaken, we are really sorry. Hope this video can help you to learn about genre, grammar, text, and context. Thank you and see you!